I knew this guy was up in Canada who'd already told me he would love to finance my next film. And I kind of believed him. You know, he sat down at his house in Vancouver one time, and we smoked a couple of joints, and he was a trillionaire, or at least that's what he told me. And so I heard about this screenplay, and I don't know how, but Ron Buck was a guy that owned 9000 Sunset. He was a very wealthy kid. And I'd run into him a lot, and I heard about the screenplay, so I called him and I asked him whether I might be able to read it, and he wasn't having much success with it, so it appeared he wasn't, let's put it that way. He said, yeah, come on up and get it. I went, okay, so I went over and I got the screenplay and went home, read it, and I went, wow, this is good for me. I mean, nobody had ever done a film about a returning vet yet. The only one that had been done was Green Berets. And if you know anything about me at all, I like the uniqueness of stories that I get involved in. So I got involved. I knew where the money was. So when I read it, I said, I like it. I'd like to do it. Can we make a deal? And usually the deals I made were 6 months to a year tops, because you have no control, really.
So Ronald Buck essentially developed the screenplay with Buddy Ruskin and Jack Gross Jr. before you were even involved. So
Yes.
the screenplay was already kind of locked in.
Right.
And I'm just curious, and I'm curious about this because Buddy Ruskin, you know, has lead story credits on it, and he was an ex-cop.
I had absolutely no idea how to make use of him. I didn't even know what you just said. Buck never talked about him.
Yeah.
Buck only talked about himself and writing the screenplay. And he didn't tell me about a rewrite from Ruskin or any of that, you know.
We'll never know these answers because Buddy Ruskin has passed away, but I'm just curious, you know, his version of the screenplay and his story, since he has a background in the police and was a squadron leader, the script is so subversive and so anti-establishment, so anti-government, anti-police. I'm just wondering, like, if the script he wrote, you know, is what wound up on screen, or if it was totally rewritten, but I guess you don't really know. It's just interesting, you know, it's just kind of interesting.
I don't think that Buck could have thought of all the stuff that was in there, frankly. So it probably was, now that I heard it from you, there's probably a lot of Ruskin in there.
Okay, cool.
And maybe I even met him, but I don't remember meeting him, let's put it that way.
Well, I bought the Mod Squad set just to get your episode. So I have the whole collection, and I've been watching them recently. And for the time, they're very edgy and dark and subversive. I mean, the very first episode, these 3 kids are recruited into this secret cop organization. And, you know, there's these guys drugging girls with LSD and making sex tapes with them, and like blackmailing their parents with the sex tapes, who are political figures. Like pretty edgy shit for 1967, I think, when it started, you know.
I didn't see the screenplay till 70.
Yeah, I was just curious because, I mean, the script is so, like I said, anti-establishment. And since he was part of the establishment, I thought it would be interesting, you know, too bad we can't talk to the guy. It's just, you know, it's interesting.
Yeah. Actually, all those things were the things that attracted me.
Sure, I could see that, because that's sort of a theme in your work too. Anti-establishment, anti-hero, you know, that kind of.
Yeah, definitely.
Good Time Joe is about to become the man in the middle. The patsy, the sucker, the clay pigeon. Hail the hero and wish him well, because man, believe me, he's gonna need it.
What was the flack you got back about the story of the film? Like, did some people not like it?
I never got any flack until one day I was told by an attorney who's since dead, who was the CIA agent for MGM. In other words, CIA had a person in every studio.
I've heard that before.
What was there to look at the product that was coming out publicly. So I got very friendly with this guy who told me one day, he said, you know, your movie's going nowhere. He told me that. I said, why? He said, because the CIA doesn't want it out there. They really don't. I mean, you're anti-government, you're pro-marijuana. In those days, pro-marijuana in 70, 71, that was a no-no. They did it to Cassavetes too. You know, anything he did that was, and most of it was a bit subversive.
Oh yeah.
I never
You guys
realized
picked up the scent,
how
huh?
serious they were about marijuana. Been on the federal statutes for years, but frankly, I didn't know and I didn't care. I was just making a movie about a returning vet, and as far as I was concerned, a returning vet would be smoking marijuana, no doubt about it. I mean, I didn't deal in heroin. I could have dealt in heroin. It would have been the same thing. Could have been stabbing my arm, you know.
Well, you do talk about heroin actually, and it's an very anti-heroin movie, very anti-hard drug movie. I mean, the movie's very
definitely.
anti-hard drugs. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so he told me that, and I said, well, thanks. Thanks for telling me that. I really appreciate it. So I knew right away that, you know, things were going to be difficult. When I never got the screening, I mean, I felt the difficulty way before that, but when they told me that, I mean, I had to actually bludgeon them to get a screening. They didn't want to give me a screening. Well, they had nothing invested in it. They only had 50 grand. You know, it was finishing money. It was just the money that I needed to finish the edit. And apparently the guy that made the deal, who was an attorney in New York, I don't remember seeing the papers. I mean, I obviously signed them. I mean, you know, you have to sign things. I was so wrapped up in the film that when he told me I got 50 grand, I went, wow, that's great, because that's what I needed to finish the movie, editorially.
That's all MGM put into the movie was 50 grand. Everything else you raised, right? Which was what, $600,000 or something?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Wow.
Wow, that is incredible.
I mean, I raised that at night.
Yeah, I know you were. Wow. So you were shooting during the day. Not only are you producing, directing, and starring for the first time during the day with this amazing cast, you're raising the money at night. Like shooting during the day, raising the money for the next day at night, right?
Right. And nobody, I mean, including people working with me, knew what I was doing.
Wow. Wow.
Because I thought if they knew, they'd blab.
Sure.
I just didn't want any blab, so.
It's amazing.
The one guy that knew what I was doing was Frank Avianca, who was my connection to Bad Money, which I never got. I never got Bad Money.
Your Canadian financier fell out, and then you were just scrambling constantly just to get this thing done.
I mean, when he dropped away, I had all this stuff done already. I mean, all the actors and everything were signed. I mean, I was full on going.
Pay or play, right? You have to pay him no matter what.
Yeah, no, I all the pressure was on.
Sure.
And so my decision to find out, you know, the cash flow of the picture, to take on the weekly nut was, I guess, born about by marijuana. I have no idea.
Awesome. Yeah,
I smoked it the whole time I did the film. I mean, that's what kept me going, just about, you know.
Oh, man.
Wow.
That's so funny.
You can see scenes where my eyeballs are like in my knees. And I'm like, you know.
You're probably getting no sleep at all. You're probably getting
No.
like a couple hours of sleep a night, maybe.
I didn't need much sleep, but I didn't mind that part very much. The only thing that I minded was somebody finding out about it.
Sure, you're probably laying awake at night. Probably couldn't sleep. Probably just, you know, I can imagine. Yeah. Wow.
So the thing that really was outstanding was the night that I woke up and realized I owed $600,000.
That would be tough. Yeah.
That was the night.
Wow. I can imagine.
Oh my God. It's a midnight experience.
Yeah, no kidding.
Redford, the assassin with a badge, the super cop. Redford, the man who needed a pigeon and found one.
You reciting your own epitaph, hero.
Things haven't changed much, have they, Joe? Another dirty jungle, another fight to stay alive. The Clay Pigeon with Telly Savalas, Robert Vaughn, Burgess Meredith, John Marley, Ivan Dixon, Marilyn Aiken, and Tom Stern as Joe